I'm Alex, and I was a regulated capitalist. The reason I say regulated capitalist is that whilst I have a lot in common with socialism, to kind of call me a socialist would be to associate me with people who I don't agree with, and to kind of over-egg the pudding, as it were. I am just someone who, in general, believes that capital is something to be respected, and like any power that deserves to be respected, you can't let it run uncontrolled, right? We understand that there are limits to things. We understand that there is a limit to the right of free speech, and that limit is the point where it infringes upon another person. So therefore, absolutely, I believe in the liberty of market forces right up until a point it infringes on and affects the capitalistic structure itself. Right up until the point it affects people. Right? And I believe the state should be the service by which it is done. And somebody, while I was on one of my videos, while I was talking about how I am in favour of regulated capitalism, said, "Oh, well, I agree. National Socialism is the answer." Right? Because, clearly regulated capitalism is, in their view, just socialism, and therefore akin to Lenin and Marx and all that communist horse crap. Bollocks! Bollocks to that. No. I mean, it's funny how, all these chaps who talk about how proud they are to take the red pill are themselves actually so terrified of a rather different kind of red pill, the kind offered by Lenin and Marx, and how they actually want you to go back to debating with Marx and Lenin because they know how to debate that. Why don't you go back to the source material that's outdated, because I know how to debate that? What are you talking about, Paul Mason? I don't know how to debate him. Why? Go back to Marx. Go back to something centuries old. Go back to something that predates the internet. That way I can debate you. Yeah, I mean, I know the intellectual caliber of commenters isn't exactly fucking stellar, but, this is something that kind of gripes. It's like, yeah, threatening my family, threatening my cat, threatening to say all kinds of horrible bullshit about me. That's fine. But for God's sakes, man, represent your own goddamn policies and political positions with some kind of vague degree of competency. But I've had a lot of dark times lately, a lot of dark times. And the thing about me is that I'm not exactly great under pressure. I remember I was at school, and it was a science class, and literally the bell had just gone and everybody was rushing off, and and my teacher said, "Just solve the last question. You're not going to leave until you solve the last question." And my brain just imploded. It was just, I can't do this. What the fuck are you doing? I can't. What? How? And then she said, "Okay, you can leave, but still have another go." And I got it within a second. Just like that. I understood. And that's the thing about me, is once the pressure's off, I can often come up with the answer, and so I've been realizing that I need something more, right? Because I'm currently in this situation whereby, you know, it's all well and good saying, okay, well, you should have studied for X, you should have studied for Y, you should have known what you were going to do when you were 5, right? There is this idea that somehow, when you're a fucking 5-year-old going into primary school, you should know what job you want at the end of university. And you should be making sure all of your degrees and everything up to that point are perfectly slaloming towards your perfect job, right? And essentially, I graduated university, said I can just get any job, that's fine, I don't care. And then I got diagnosed with Kalman syndrome, and yeah, I have consistent tiredness and pain and headaches. Oh, and then also a tiny penis and man boobs. And I'm dependent on testosterone. So basically, you know how the alt-right, the new far right, you know, sort of, you know, Milo and Steve Bannon and, you know, Ann Coulter, all that lot of garbage, you know, Trump as their fucking mascot. You know how they say, you know, the lowest of the low is a low energy beta. How Donald Trump boasted about the size of his fucking penis. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to my growth hormone deficiency, I have low energy, and thanks to Kalman syndrome, I am not the most well-endowed individual. So I am probably going to be damn lucky if I ever get the chance to so much as be cucked. Never mind find the cuck insulting. So, yeah, I realise that from a political point of view, I am, as far as the alt-right concerned, lovely fresh meat to chew upon. Hence why they have been. But you see, these things, these diagnoses, they have affected the kinds of jobs that I can do. And the problem is that basically I have had fresh bullshit drama after fresh bullshit drama after fresh bullshit drama landing on my doorstep every single day, basically. And when you've got GHD, your capacity to deal with bullshit is a lot less low. Actually, that's a double negative. It's a lot lower than normal. Your ability to deal with bullshit is not good. Not good at all. So yeah, I've been in a bad place, not able to deal with this stuff, and I've been needing some solid ground to stand on. I've been needing somewhere safe to just recover and pick a direction and go, right? It's all very well believing that a capitalist should pull himself up by his bootstraps, right? But sometimes there's been an avalanche and you don't know which way is up. So you need to stop and figure out which way is up before you start climbing for upwards. And for me, that's kind of where I feel like I am now. But I know I need to pull myself up by my bootstraps. I know I do. I know that is the only chance I have of my survival, is if I can somehow figure out a goddamn way to do this. And before you assholes decide to impotently claim, just get a job, like, you know, it's that fucking easy. Like, seriously, guys, just get a pussy, right? See how that doesn't help you? See how you're still virgins? Yeah? See how someone just screaming, just get laid doesn't change your ability to get laid. Yeah, that's kind of how it is with jobs too. You can't just tell someone to do something and they magically do it, right? And equally for you fuckers saying, oh, well, I bet you're living like a lord on benefits. No, motherfucker, the benefits don't even cover the minimum expenses to fucking live. So, yeah, things are tough. Things are goddamn tough, and if you think living on benefits is so fucking easy, try it! Try it. But, I'm trying to find this safe harbor, this solid ground from which to start figuring out my life, because clearly I'm the only person who's going to have a hope in hell of finding something that I can do, right? Because, yeah, also autistic, in the age when being autistic is seen as worse than your children dying of preventable diseases, yeah, I am something of a persecuted individual because I have a thing which means I think differently from people, and thus people cannot understand me, and they freak out because somehow using the English goddamn language means that my fellow citizens do not understand me. All you neurotypicals, you're all just fucked up. So elitist. But, you know, I'm in this situation where I'm trying to grab purchase and I'm failing, right? How can I save this? How can I solve this? And I've done all this research into kind of, well, politics around the world, like what the fuck's going on? Like, because if it's just me, I can figure out what I'm doing, right? If it's just me, I can figure out where I'm going wrong and I can fix it. It's not just me. Friends, family members, you know, distant associates, you know, people I read about, like everybody's kind of screwed. And this is why I say I was a regulated capitalist, because capitalism is dying. Technological unemployment is killing it. And, you know, I've considered, you know, how we might defeat it with socialism before, right? With regulated capitalism before. And I've encountered a problem, which is that in a global economy, socialism is fucked. Because whilst capitalism may be dying, it's got enough strength left to destroy socialism that is restricted to one nation. And that got me thinking. When that virgin dickhead said, well, I agree, National Socialism is the answer, he kind of made a point that he didn't realize he was making, which is that actually all socialism is nationalistic because it's restricted to the nation it is in, right? In fact, I think you could make a case that, you know, Russia's communism was in fact national communism. It was restricted. Restricted. We need more than that. We need more than a national socialism. We need a global socialism. We need a socialism for the globe, for the entire world, for the world wide web of people. But how are we going to do this? How are we going to achieve this? Because there's so much money. How are we going to do this? How? I mean, I'm not a fan of revolutions. Revolutions cause bloodshed and devastation and oh my god, the inhumanity, and I'm an Englishman, so I don't like I don't like revolutions, you know. I celebrate the 5th of November when we squashed revolution, when the revolution didn't fucking happen. And also, you know, I'm autistic, so I don't like change. But how do we achieve this? Well, we look to Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher said that New Labour was her legacy. And New Labour certainly did get into power by learning from establishment lessons, learning from Thatcherite lessons. But I think there are other lessons to learn from Margaret Thatcher. I think there are lessons to be learnt from how Margaret Thatcher got into power that frankly could be used to fly in the face of everything she stood for. Because you see, Margaret Thatcher's positions were the outliers. They were radical. They were rebellious. They were contrary to the establishment norm. In other words, move over Lenin, move over Stalin, move over fucking Hitler, move over Castro. Margaret Thatcher is the most successful revolutionary leader there has ever been. So we are going to achieve global socialism same way that Margaret Thatcher helped achieve global success of neoliberalism and essentially the killing off of capitalism. Because capitalism may seem to be riding high now. We may be experiencing the worst excesses of capitalism at the moment. But Margaret Thatcher killed it by restraining capitalism's ability to adapt, by allowing it to just cheap out and say, oh, we'll just fuck over people, fuck over people, fuck over people, fuck over people. It stopped capitalism having the ability to innovate its way out of crises, so that when at last it needed to, it didn't have the energy, and it doesn't have the energy. Because by 2050, there is going to be one person on Social Security and pensions for every worker in the West. And at the same time, you know, we're going to be dealing with the effects and sort of the external shocks of climate change. And yeah, guess what, guys? You don't have to fucking believe in it. It's fucking real, right? It's kind of like the opposite of atheism. You know how atheists don't have to scream and shout that God isn't real because, you know, he isn't, so believe whatever you want to believe. Equally, you know, it doesn't fucking matter that you scream and shout, oh, climate change is a scam, because it's real. And, you know, like the Divine Right of Kings used to have that joke about, well, you know, if God doesn't want me to be king, may he strike me down with a bolt of lightning. Well, yeah, you know, if you don't believe in climate change, it's going to flood your house. I mean, unless you, like a king, have built your house on top of a hill so that you've got a nice moat around it when it gets flooded. You know, maybe you might be okay then. But in general, we are going to see a lot of devastation from that. And then all of these people from all of these desperate poor countries are going to crash through. They're going to crash through and they are going to destroy everything that you guys like. They are going to make things worse through their desperation. It's not going to be a malicious thing. It's not going to be, the right walkers come to eat your brains. They're just going to be poor, desperate people who are looking at the West going, but we want iPads. The fuck? Of course, it would help if we also stopped bombing the crap out of them every few years. Global socialism is the answer. Global socialism will enable us to fix all of our different economies by enabling economic growth to happen again. We will stimulate our economies. We will support our workers. And we will achieve this in tandem everywhere. We will ensure that every country has got a stimulated economy, that every country has got strong economic growth. We will see that every country gets richer, that every country gets better off. Heck, while we're at it, we'll do our best to pay down the fucking deficits. I mean, let's face it, you know, the Conservative Party came to power pledging to lower the deficit, and in one term they more than tripled the deficit that was left. They more than tripled the damage done by the Labour governments. The Tories, they've lied to you. They have fucked everything up, and they have killed capitalism. But we can learn from their stupid attempts to do this. We can learn from how they managed to make this bullshit ideology the status quo of the establishment. And we can teach the establishment a new status quo. We can teach the establishment the value of global socialism. This is my solid ground now. This is my hope, and this is my anchor that can allow me to sort my life out. Because this is the answer. Because I'm not gonna have any kind of safety until there is a true government safety net to support me, and there can be no government safety net until there is a global safety net, until there is global socialism. So let's go make it happen. Because after all, the alternative is what? We let dying capitalism and always doomed to fail fascism duke it out impotently against each other, whilst technological unemployment descends everybody into deeper and deeper and deeper poverty. Socialism can set people free, to innovate, find new avenues to live, new avenues to create, to be more generous, to be less burdened by the idea of work, to adapt to a life beyond scarcity, to adapt to a life beyond the ancient dead idea of the fucking work ethic. Like, we're gonna experience post-scarcity. We already experience artificial scarcity on the internet, where we can practically replicate things infinitely, and instead we are imposing scarcity and prices. And the reason we do so is because there is still scarcity in the world, because there are still jobs that need to be maintained. But how much the money from that artificial scarcity actually goes to people? Because this is the issue, is that we aren't actually paying the workers on the ground fairly. You know, the 1% earn so much more money than the bottom 90%, the bottom 95%, right? If we can make the difference between the top earners and the bottom earners no more than, say, 30% of the income, then that will greatly alleviate the issues that we are having in terms of finding a way to support this. If we can reduce income inequality, then that artificial scarcity starts to make a little more sense. Because then the money you pay Apple or Steam or whoever will actually go towards the employees more directly and won't just go to, adding a few more pennies into Scrooge McDuck's Olympic pool of gold. We need to address income inequality. We need to crack down on corporate freewheeling. We need regulation so that we can make capitalism a better place, a greater place, so that we can restore it to its former glory. Capitalism is going to die. It is doomed to failure. But it doesn't have to go out as some penny pinching Scrooge, miserly, stealing away pennies from the poor as it wastes that money on its own avarice. We can make the world a better place for people. We can do so with global socialism. So yes, we will achieve a global socialist movement. We will achieve a global diplomatic, political revolution. We will destroy the political establishment idea of neoliberalism. And along the way, we will destroy fascism. Because after all, why accept the flawed imperfection of National Socialism when you can accept the true bounties of global socialism? We can make this happen. We can make a better world. We can make a globally socialist world. And in the face of dying capitalism and an impotent, doomed to failure fascism, global socialism is the only logical way forward. Thank you for watching my main channel. Please remember to leave a like, favourite and comment. Shout out to the dislike club. Subscribe if you like what you saw, and share if you know someone who might be interested in the contents of this video. If you would like to help ensure more videos get made, there are a few options available to you. You can whitelist this channel in your adblock software to ensure what ad revenue you provide has a chance of making its way to me. If you sign up to make a regular monthly donation through my Patreon, then you will get to watch a selection of videos available exclusively to my Patreon supporters over at my Patreon page. One-off donations are payable through PayPal, or if that doesn't suit your sensibilities, you can gift items through Steam or Amazon via my public wish lists. Obviously, I don't expect anything, and the vast majority of my videos will remain free and ad-supported. All that remains is to say Trump should be impeached, the genocidal must be stopped, and institute universal basic income now.